This is VSiN At The Track. Now here's your hosts, Mike Somich and Aaron Halterman.
Welcome in here, another episode, VSiN At The Track. Thursdays over on @VSiN Live on YouTube. And guess what, Aaron? We're getting our own podcast channel as well. So wherever you get your podcasts, check it out. Probably this weekend, look for VSiN At The Track. You can find us in podcast form, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you may be getting those. Aaron, how's your Thursday going? I still can't get over this not being on Friday. How's your Thursday going, Aaron?
I know change is all about, man. No big deal. I won't give you hell for it this week. Now I'll just let it slide this week for you. But look, dude, yeah, now they're giving us a podcast. I mean, I feel like they're going to regret this decision eventually. So let's just kind of keep it going until they do and have some fun with it. So should be a great show today. We've got a lot to talk about. It's a great Thursday to answer your question as well. Got racing going on everywhere as we do the show. So that's always fun to have a little bit of action going on while we do it as well.
Yeah, we've got Churchill going already, Belmont at the Big A already going, and leading into a pretty big weekend here, and that's part of what we're going to be doing on today's show. We'll take a look back at the legacy of Dwayne Lukas, someone we have to talk about if you're doing a horse racing show, just so we go over the list of accolades that he has, which actually surprised me when I was writing it up and looking through everything. Talk a little about journalism and Vahva. Vahva, huge performance at Churchill Downs last weekend. Where is her next step? And is she going to be our next $2 million horse as well? Take a look at the mandatory payout that's coming to fruition here on Sunday, closing day over at Churchill. I want to talk a little about jackpot pick sixes as well. And then we got Friday night racing over at Penn National, including the Penn Mile, which is finally going to happen, apparently. And then we've got Saturday Churchill, phenomenal card there, where we're going to have Mystic Dan, the luckiest horse in the world, back on the racetrack as well. And, of course, we'll close this out with our best bets, too. But, Aaron, we got to start out here with the legendary Dwayne Lukas, the coach. Very unfortunate news. He's not going to be training anymore. I'm not going to comment on the medical situation just to out of respect for the family and everything going on, but we're not going to see him at the track again, it looks like. And just so everyone understands kind of the legacy of Dwayne Lukas, one of the only people who is in both the Triple Crown or the Hall of Fame for both the U.S. thoroughbred racing as well as quarter horse racing, 20 Breeders' Cup wins, 15 Triple Crown wins over his career, including the only trainer to ever have won a training Triple Crown, meaning in 1995, Thunder Gulch wins the Derby, wins the Belmont, and his other horse, Timber Country, wins the Preakness. He cost himself a Triple Crown that year, 4-time Eclipse Trainer of the Year. And of course, last year was Seize the Gray winning the Preakness, became the oldest to ever win a Triple Crown race as well at 88. I read off the accolades. You're much closer to Dwayne Lukas. He was one of the trainers that really got you into this sport and someone that you knew. So I'll let you talk a little about Dwayne and the legacy that he's going to leave behind here.
It's absolutely incredible what this guy's done for horse racing. Absolutely changed the game. You read the accolades, and those are very important, and those are what he's always going to be remembered by. I'll also throw in, just a guy that changed the game of horse racing as well. He was one of the first ones to successfully go out and have different stables at different racetracks at the same time, and having, guys that went on to be legendary trainers as his assistants. But to speak of the personal side of Dwayne, a couple of things that I just can't get past. Number one, every time he would win a race, he would find a kid in the crowd, a small child, whether it be an 8-year-old or a 5-year-old or 10-year-old or whatever, and he would take them to the winner's circle with him. And that's just something he did. Every time he won, he would find a kid that was in the crowd and he would take him to the winner's circle. I thought, man, that was a cool tradition. And like I said, it was every single time, whether it was a big stakes race or a small race, it didn't matter. He did it. And then, the personal level of him, I'm not sure I would be in the game to this level without Dwayne Lukas. The first time I ever went to a racetrack, he was the only person that I knew. He was kind of the celebrity. It's like, oh, yeah, I do know Dwayne Lukas because I've seen him on television before. And I'm going to tell you, the guy did a lot to help people come up in the game, not only in the training standpoint, but just fans or people that just wanted to know more. He would be at Oaklawn Park and he would just stand out with the regular people, and he was very approachable. I always went up and talked to him anytime I saw him, just sometimes to say hello and sometimes just to ask him, something that I might need to know. But he always took the time to do that, and what I've noticed over the last 4 or 5 days since that news broke, of how many people had that story. It's like, hey, I was at Oaklawn or I was at Churchill Downs one day or Saratoga, and I saw Dwayne Lukas, and I went up and said hi, and then 20 minutes later, he went on about his day and I went on about mine. And this is a guy that didn't need to do that, Mike. He really didn't. He was he's a celebrity of the game. He didn't really need to sit down there with the common folks, so to speak, and try to give them advice or tell them things about horse racing. But that's what he did, because he loved horse racing and he loved teaching. They called him the coach because he wanted to be a coach, and he was a coach there for a while before he got into horse racing. But he never stopped teaching, and that's something that I always will admire about him. He knew and he understood the importance of spreading knowledge and help keeping the game going in that way. So a lot of accolades, but the thing I'll always remember about him the most in horse racing is just how friendly he was to everybody that would ask him questions or anything like that.
Yeah, definitely a celebrity of horse racing, but still a man of the people. And you mentioned the teaching aspect of it. I still remember after Seize the Gray won the Preakness last year, Christian Torres, the rider, specifically talking about how important Dwayne Lukas was and having faith in him, but also telling him what he was doing wrong with horses and saying, no, you need to get this horse up front, send him on the lead, be more aggressive. And that was something Dwayne was always known for, having riders be aggressive with his horses. He was one of the early pioneers of really injecting speed into the U.S. dirt horses as well. Coming from the quarter horse world, that was a pretty easy transition for him. It's one of the reasons why we see him have as much success as he's had today. And it's also why we've seen so many quarter horse trainers be able to transition over to dirt, because there's a laundry list of trainers that actually got their start in quarter horse racing that moved over to thoroughbred. You wonder if that would have been possible if it weren't for Dwayne Lukas. In the chat here, Better Boss, how will horse racing honor Lukas? I will guarantee you there's at least one stakes race named after him, and it should have already been done, but I would be shocked if it's not done next year. I would assume Churchill Downs, and I would be surprised if we don't have a training award for him or his name on a training award as well as we move forward here. What do you think, Aaron?
Yeah, absolutely. There'll be all kinds of tracks that do have races named after him. I would imagine there would be a statue or two built of him at some of these tracks. At Churchill Downs, Saratoga, Oaklawn, that's kind of what he was known for in the later part of his career. But Santa Anita, he was a big part of that as well. So yeah, I would certainly think they're going to honor him in the ways that you honor legends, right? And that's usually with statues and naming stakes races after him in horse racing. That's what happens. So he certainly will have that. I know he's got a whole kind of a shrine in the Hall of Fame already there at Churchill Downs. They've just got a whole room basically with his stuff, or not maybe room, but a section with all kinds of stuff about Dwayne. I'm sure that will expand. So yeah, and it's funny you mentioned jockeys. He was the man at spotting these younger jockeys and giving them chances, and then they rise to fame. Luis Saez is the last one that really I remember. He put him on a horse named Will Take Charge, who ended up winning the Travers Stakes when Luis Saez jumped on him for the first time. And when that happened, Luis Saez, he wasn't that big of a deal. And now when I say that name, everybody listening is going to go, well, yeah, I know who Luis Saez is. He's one of the best jockeys in the country. Well, Dwayne Lukas was the first one to really give him an opportunity, and he would do that with a number of jockeys throughout the years as well, including who you mentioned on Seize the Gray there. But that's just another thing, he had a way to spot that. So I'm sure horse racing will do a great job honoring him in the ways that they do. And certainly, like I said, he changed the game in so many respects that, we're going to see a lot of different things happening for him.
Yeah, Shotty chiming in, graded stakes race, statue, training award, something. Totally agree with all of that. Scott also chiming in. Yeah. Maybe we'll get a Lukas trophy, possibly for the Kentucky Derby. Wouldn't be shocked if there is a trophy named after him as well for one of these major races. And as we talk about major races, we've got two horses that we've got to check in on in the news here. First, Journalism, obviously 3-year-old who has gone through all three of the Triple Crown races and winning the Preakness. Michael McCarthy came out, and we talked about Baeza last week. And where is he going to go? What is he going to do? He came out and specifically said, hey, it sucks there's no good races in California for 3-year-olds. And so he's talking about heading back east. It's one thing that needs to be addressed. We need some better 3-year-old races at Del Mar, but the pool just is not that big, and it's the reason we have not seen that specific piece of the pie grow down there at Del Mar. Looks like Journalism is going to be heading east, which I think is good. Look, if the races stink in California, just ship everybody out east. Give me Baeza, give me Journalism, give me the Haskell, give me the Travers. I want all the big boys out there in that 3-year-old class at Saratoga and at Monmouth.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would love to see him go out east. I'd love to see him stick with 3-year-olds. I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, the problem is at Del Mar, if you're going to run there, you can definitely do it. There's races for you, but you're going to have to face older horses, and that's something 3-year-olds usually don't do until we get really to the Breeders' Cup or maybe one race before. So it's a weird spot for him to be in. I would still try to send him out east because I do think, run against your own class, and there's big time races with big time purses. Go ahead and do that. But I really think they're in limbo. I think, truth be told, they would love to stay at Del Mar, but he laid out exactly why they may not be able to do that. It's like, do we want to face older horses in the Pacific Classic, or do we want to keep in our age group? So it'll be interesting to see what they do. And you're right. It's a problem, but you can see why the problem is. They have the lack of 3-year-old racing in Southern California this time of year, because they have trouble getting horses to those races when it's Kentucky Derby prep season, right? And so now you fast forward to the summer, especially if Journalism was to enter like a big 3-year-old race, they may not get but 3 or 4 other horses. And that's just something that they don't want to do. They would rather run on the turf and get full field. So unfortunately, because of that, a horse like Journalism, they're in a weird situation with him. But I'm with you. I kind of, reading between the lines, I kind of think they're going back to like a Monmouth or a Saratoga this summer with him.
I think it's going to be Dandy Travers. McCarthy has run a lot of horses in stakes races at Saratoga over the years, likes to ship in there. I think that's where we end up seeing Journalism. Now, someone who we will not see at Saratoga, Vahva, comes out, regains her form, looked awesome last weekend. She's back. She's officially headed toward the Breeders' Cup. She's at $1.99 million in earnings. So going to be our next $2 million earner, because all she needs, $10,000. She'll get that eventually here. Looks like she's heading to Charlestown, though, because, quote, she hates Saratoga from Jury DeRoe. Just does not like the track at all. How impressive was Vahva? And then is this a horse that you do think has a legit shot Breeders' Cup time if she's able to hold on to this form?
Yeah, I'm sure that they hate that she doesn't like Saratoga, but the proof's in the pudding. She just doesn't, and her races haven't been that good. Yeah, look, I think we talked about her last week, right? It's like, hey, if she gets back to her game, she's one of the top female sprinters in the country. We said it last week, and we were just kind of like, hey, I think this is the time. But if it's not, then maybe she's kind of done. It was kind of a hit or miss race, and she ran just as good as ever last week in Chicago. So yeah, I think she's back. I think she's or maybe not the number 1 contender, but a top 4 or 5 contender for the race. You kind of have to get creative. She doesn't like Saratoga. Go to Charlestown and probably you're 1-9 against an easy field for a nice purse, and then have one more prep, maybe a Churchill Downs, and then you're off to the Breeders' Cup. So I think it sets up really nicely for her. And I was happy to see her back and see her back in top form, because I am a fan of this horse. Unfortunately, my top pick, Clarette Beret, was 10-1 and looked like she was going to win. And then Vahva kind of kicked it in gear and she got second. So that part of it kind of sucked. But as a fan, it was nice to see her back. It's nice. You want the top horses that are still out there running to run their best races. And I think that's what we got out of Vahva.
I won't cry too hard for you, because that was a very nice exacta, having Vahva over Clarette Beret. So nice little exacta for you there in the Chicago last week, one of the races that we covered. Now, all eyes on Churchill on Saturday, but all eyes are going to be on Churchill on Sunday as well. We've got a mandatory pick 6 set for closing day on Sunday. I'm mentioning this because there's $1.3 million right now in the jackpot pool. And before we go any further, let me say this. A jackpot pool is not a carryover pool. Churchill Downs loves to say we have a $1.3 million carryover coming today. No, you don't. It's a jackpot pool. What's a jackpot pool? You have to be the lone ticket, the only one to get all 6 races correct. So not only do you have to pick 6 winners in a row, you have to be the only person in the world to do so. Now, yesterday there was over $300,000 bet into the pool. It's a 20-cent wager, Aaron. That means there were 1.5 million combinations. You know how hard it is to be the only person with the correct combination when there are 1.5 million combinations? It ain't happening. But I do like jackpot pools, because on the last day of the meet, on the last day of a fiscal quarter, you'll see this down at Gulfstream, you get a mandatory payout, which means all of that money that has been building up is all forced out. So it's not just if you are the only person. It's distributed to everyone who gets 6 out of 6. We're setting up for that on Sunday. They should have between 1.3, 1.5 million sitting there in the kitty, Aaron. This is going to be the biggest pool that we've seen so far this year on Sunday. I'm guessing we're talking 7.5, maybe 8 million when it's all said and done into the pick 6 on Sunday at Churchill Downs. I wanted to bring that up because I wanted to get on my soapbox and say this isn't actually a carryover until mandatory payout day, but it is an exciting sequence and going to be a very, very big pool.
Yeah, it's a really solid sequence. Like you said there at the last, I'll echo that. Really good races in this thing, and it is going to be a huge pool. If you like to play these multi-race wagers, this is one you just have to play. Because like you said, there's, quote unquote free money that has been carried over for a while, sitting there just waiting for somebody to take it. And like I said, they have to pay it out. So it's going to be huge. And by the way, and I didn't realize this as well, because I got an email about an hour ago about it. Gulfstream Park will have a mandatory pick six on Sunday as well. I don't think it'll swell to the size of Churchill because, of what you just laid out, but that's two big carryovers that are going to happen that'll be mandatory paid out on Sunday. So there's a lot to fire at Friday, Saturday, and now Sunday with these two big things as well. Like I said, both cards are pretty good. Churchill Downs card on Sunday, though, I think is a little bit better than Gulfstream Park as far as high-end talent. So, but still, a lot to fire on. Going to be a very, very big 3 days of wagering in the horse racing world.
Here's a free idea to all the smaller tracks out there. Looking at you, Horseshoe, Indianapolis. Mandatory payout every Tuesday, right? When no one else is running, just have a guaranteed mandatory payout every single Tuesday. You'll get people to bet on it because there's money just sitting there. Essentially creates a carryover for you. And we've seen how well the Pick 5 carryovers do over there at Horseshoe, Indianapolis. All right, Aaron, we got a ton of big races coming up this weekend. So let's dive right into some race previews here. First track we're going to head to Penn National, which swears they're actually going to run the races this week. This is the third effort that they've made to run their big stakes card. They've got 5 turf races on the card, 4 stakes races, all stakes pick 4. It's an absolutely phenomenal Friday night of racing from Penn National there. And we will kick it off here. And this is important to note with the 5th race at Penn National. So they do have all these turf races, race 2 through 6, front loading the card, even though they have a full card later as well. 5th race is the Penn Oaks, $150,000 for 3-year-old fillies going 1 mile on the turf. I think this is a great betting race. When I went through this, I was kind of surprised that the favoritism landed on the number 9, Laurelin, who is going to be 3-1 on the morning line for Graham Motion. The horse won last time in a stakes race at this level at Aqueduct over a good turf course. There may be some water in the turf course as well, so that may become relevant. Did you land on the number 9, Laurelin, or did you go elsewhere?
I did land on the number 9, Laurel Lynn. I just kind of went back and watched the replays of this horse. Of course, 3 for 3. And really, I thought the last time out was the first race as a 3-year-old. I thought that was her strongest race yet. But I also thought it was a race that she could build on. I thought she really had to dig down deep. Maybe she wasn't quite ready to roll that day, and she still was able to get the job done. So I'm pretty excited to see her in this spot. I do agree with you, though, that it's a little bit more complicated than just the 9, Laurel Lynn. Even though I did have her on top. And I thought the horse right to her inside, Mike, made a lot of sense as well. The number 8, Love and Poetry. I'll mention her real quick before kicking it back to you. This horse that ran pretty well at Fairgrounds, broke the maiden 3 races back, ran pretty well in a stakes race at Fairgrounds 2 races back. And then at Churchill Downs, just got a horrific trip last time out in a tough allowance race. Still got third, beaten 4 lengths, but you almost draw a line through the last one. She was 10th early. That is not where she wants to be. I think with a better trip, she's going to have a chance to pull off a mild upset. So I like the 2 outside horses look pretty good here with the 8 and the 9.
Yeah, Sheree DeVoe calls on Jose Ortiz, her top jockey there for Love and Poetry as well. And you mentioned the trip was atrocious, just atrocious last time. So even though it was a good race, you can make an argument you would draw a line through it. I would argue you expect a pretty big improvement off of it. I didn't actually take either of those 2 in my top 2, though. I love the 5, Bessie Abbott here. This is just a pure speed play for me. There is no speed in this race. All of these horses want to come from off the pace, except for one. That is the number 5, Bessie Abbott. And her line is kind of muddied, which is also awesome to me. Was at Saratoga last time, faced Nitrogen on the dirt and ran second, lost by 17 lengths. The buyer went down because this is a turf horse, not a dirt horse. And it felt like because of that is the reason we're getting 8-1 here on a Mark Casse trained, Irad Ortiz ridden horse that to me is just clearly your speed. Like I don't even know who else would go to the lead if it's not Bessie Abbott. So it feels like in a mile race, not a mile and 16th, over a track that does favor speed, specifically on the turf, Bessie Abbott has a big shot here at 8-1. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the number 1 Ascent as well at 8-1 for Flavian Pratt and Chad Brown. This is a horse that came out, debuted at Tampa Bay Downs, came from off the pace that day, was able to close, kick, and win. And then they decided to go right here, right into a stakes race. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the Brown in the next race as well with Zulu Kingdom. But I don't think this is just a, hey, we're sending 1, let's send 2. This feels like Ascent has a legitimate shot, and you got Pratt aboard. A very interesting odds board as well. I think we'd be like, if you got to at least mention 9-horse field. The 2, 50-1, draw a line through it, whatever, right?
Yep.
The other 8 are all under 10-1. This is going to be very interesting to see how this is bet as well, because yes, Laurelin is your morning line favorite, probably goes off as the favorite. I've got no clue. who the second choice is. We haven't even mentioned the second choice on the morning line. The 3 Love You Anyway here. Who do you think ends up being the second choice? And did you consider the 1 of the 5?
I kind of feel like Love and Poetry might be the second choice because of the connections, right? It kind of has a little bit of a nice running line and the connection. So I kind of think it's the 8. I didn't like the 3 Love You Anyway very much. So that could be a lot of the reason why I just said that, because I don't like that horse all that much, especially at the lower price. I'm so glad you brought up the 5 and the 1, because I had a note to bring up the 5 and the 1. So I will say, first of all, great pick on top of Bessie Abbott. It's a horse that, you're right, is completely loose on the lead in this spot. Now, look, here's the deal. You're going to look at that last race, and you mentioned it. It was off the turf. This horse was not bred to run on the dirt one step. But here's the deal. Mark Casse trains Bessie Abbott. Mark Casse also trained a horse named Nitrogen, who won that race. I fully believe Nitrogen just needed a horse to run at, meaning that Nitrogen, what she likes to do is sit a couple lengths off the pace, have a target in front of her, and then go get her. I really believe Bessie Abbott was in that race just so Nitrogen would have that target. And if you go back and watch it, they never asked this horse to do anything. She broke out in front and they just galloped her around the track. They know that the turf is where this horse wanted to be. And I think the instructions were just kind of get a workout into her and don't worry about it. So I think she's really well meant for this spot. And I think because though of what you saw last time out, people that aren't quite as informed are going to look at that and go, I don't know if she's very good, when that is just a total throwout. So I'm with you on Bessie Abbott. Ascent, the 1 horse, is very interesting that you talked about as well. Gets Flavian Proud aboard. You love that. Chad Brown, doesn't really have him fully cranked first out, and this horse won anyway. But I think, again, people are going to look at this and go, boy, the horse really needs to improve from a speed figure standpoint. The horse is going to improve. Now, how much is going to be the question? And we're not sure, right, about how much the horse can improve and will it be enough? But I have no doubt the horse will run an improved speed figure on Friday. So I'm with you. I think Ascent. Now, look, I think with her, I want to get every bit of that 8-1, though, right? Because the jump up is still a big question. Bessie Abbott, I think more like 4 or 5-1 is acceptable because of the pace situation. And we kind of know she's got the class probably to jump up and run against these and be successful.
Yeah, I would be happy with 4-1 on Bessie Abbott. I agree with you on Ascent. You are projecting more that this horse is going to take a big step forward, but we've seen Chad Brown, smaller track, turf races, generally does pretty well with these type of horses. So I do think we're going to see this one take a step forward. That's the Penn Oaks race number 5 at Penn National Friday night. Give me the number 5, Bessie Abbott, 8-1 on the morning line. Aaron going with the number 9. Laurelin, 3-1 on the morning line. Let's move one race forward here. The Grade 3 Penn Mile. This is a mile on the turf, $400,000 purse for 3-year-olds. And the big talk around this is whether or not Zulu Kingdom's going to run. So I wanted to start out with this. Zulu Kingdom, your 7-5 favorite. Our boy Magic yesterday was talking about how there's rumors swirling that Zulu Kingdom not going to run in this race, going to scratch out and save himself for Saratoga. Have you heard that Zulu Kingdom is in, out, any rumors, anything before we break down the race?
Well, I get my news from Magic, of course, right? So, no, I would not trust him. No, I'm just kidding. But look, I haven't heard any rumors. It would make sense because they have a big stakes race for the 3-year-olds up at Saratoga next week, kind of wrapped around the 4th of July weekend. It would be just like it if Zulu Kingdom didn't run again after I've been waiting to bet him over and over and over since I bet him and he made me look good on Kentucky Derby Day there at Churchill Downs of the American Turf. I'll start off with this. If he runs, single. He's my single. I don't care. I love this horse. It's a great spot for him. I love Zulu Kingdom. If he doesn't run, I'll just wait and talk about him next week where I will pick him most likely again. So hopefully he does run, though. If he doesn't, I kind of think we have a similar kind of pace situation as you mentioned in the last race with the 4 Mibago in this race where he looks loose on the lead to me. So I hate to be like, hey, if this favorite doesn't run, I'm going to go to the second choice that'll be the favorite. But that's just how I look at it. Zulu Kingdom's much the best. And if he's out, I think Mibago's loose on the lead. So for me, it's pretty easy. If he's in, 7 Zulu Kingdom, single him up, not worried about anybody else. If he's out, give me the number 4 Mibago to take him gate to wire. This isn't a bad horse anyway. He's got a little bit of class too. He's been running decent in some stakes races. So curious, though, what do you think about this one?
Look, if he's in, Zulu Kingdom's a single. I agree with you. Because there is, in my mind, enough pace. I'll get to the pace in a second, because I disagree that Mibago is going to be loose on the lead in this race. So I do think Zulu Kingdom very tough to get around. So I'm not going to try and beat Zulu Kingdom if he's in this race. Here's the thing with the pace. I think the number 3, Panagatis, is going to go, and the number 5 Out on Bail, coming out of sprint races, including being close to a 20-second opening quarter, I think that horse wants to go as well. I think you've got the 3, 4, and 5 that all show speed here. I'll go back to my girl, Sharia DeVoe, the one horse, States Rights here at 8-1 on the rail. This is the horse that I'm most interested in betting if Zulu Kingdom's out. And if Zulu Kingdom's in, kind of like the 1-8 or the 7-1 Exacta Cold as well, just play Zulu on top, play States Rights below. States Rights is a horse that hasn't faced Stakes Company yet, but this is one that Cherie DeVoe is thought of quite highly in her barn. If you go back and you look who she has lost to, or who he has lost to, it's very good horses up and down, slowly climbed the class ladder, was able to break the maiden at Keeneland in a very tough race, just missed at Saratoga one race prior to that, has been in high-level allowances at Fairgrounds and Keeneland on bigger days as well, and faced very good horses because of it. Gets to carry the low weight in this race, which I think matters because you don't have a N1X allowance win on the card. So that 116 makes a difference to me as well. I think States Rights really dangerous from off the pace, because I do think the 3, 4, and 5, specifically the 4 and 5, end up sending and going, and that makes a difference here, Aaron.
So where I kind of, or where we disagree, I think I don't trust the 3 speed. Like, I kind of think that's gonna. I agree
cheap,
with you
yeah.
that the 3 has speed. I just think it's kind of cheap for this caliber of race. I can see the 5. That is the horse I'm worried about on the front end for sure. I think the 5 could pressure the 4. On paper, when you look at the analytics side of it, which that's not always how it runs, obviously, but when you look at the analytics side of it, the 4 seems to have a little bit more speed up front and a little bit more natural speed. But we'll see what happens there with the 5. I think I'm with you on States Rights. I think if the 7 comes out, States Rights becomes a horse you got to look at quite a bit. I do think the 8 Dream On is a horse we at least got to mention. I don't know what the odds are going to be. If the odds hold, because right now it says morning line is 9-2 on Dream On. I think the horse gets bet down pretty hard. But if for some reason he's right there at 9-2, and maybe States Rights kind of gets bet down a little bit, I do think Dream On is interesting. Nice win last time out in the Woodhaven there at Aqueduct. A horse that's got a lot of class. Last year as a 2-year-old ran 3rd in the Summer Stakes. That was a grade 1 event. Ran 5th in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. That was a really tough race. And then it's come back here this year and won 2 out of 3 in the one race. He lost. He didn't run. I don't know what happened. He just quit that day. So I think he becomes very, very interesting as well. But it's kind of odds dependent for me. I don't really want to play Dream On if he's like 2-1, right? Which he could possibly be with that kind of line if Zulu Kingdom's out. So just kind of watch the odds. If he says 3-1, 4-1, I think he becomes a little bit more appealing. Talking about the number 8 Dream On.
If Dream On drew the 1, I'd be more interested. I don't love the post for a horse that made all his hay on the lead as a 2-year-old, and then has been able to show the ability to stalk as a 3-year-old. So I don't want to discount that fact. But from the 8 post in a race where I think there's 5 other horses that want to be forward here, I mean, everyone outside the 3 probably goes forward, right? Zulu Kingdom generally close to lead, not on it, but close to it. The trip for me is hard to picture how you're not going to lose ground with the 8 horse Dream On in this spot. If you're looking to bet either of these races at Penn on Friday night, or if you want to bet Churchill on Saturday, or either of the Pick 6 mandatory payouts at Churchill or Gulfstream on Sunday, head over to firstbet.com. Take your betting to the next level with First Bet. Sign up now at firstbet.com. That's the number 1, STBET.com. Use promo code VSiN200 and score a 20% rebate on all of your wagers, win or lose, for the first 60 days up to $200. Don't miss out. Bet smarter today at firstbet.com. Now, you made fun of me last week for a horse that we're going to talk about now. And I just want you to be ready to take this back next week when we talk about how Torpedo Anna absolutely rolled in the Fleur de Lis. That's where we'll head next. Race number 7 over at Churchill Downs, mile and an eighth over the dirt course in the Fasig-Tibdon Fleur de Lis. And your featured horse here will be Torpedo Anna, coming off of the biggest dud of her career last time out. She's sitting on the board at 3-5 in this race, only 5 fillies. So this is one where if you're going to bet it, if you're in multi-races, look, I'm singling Torpedo Anna. I think that last race is a complete throwout. Didn't like the track. Don't have any problem trusting her in this spot. But if you're betting it from a single race perspective, this is one where you're playing cold exactas, cold trifectas. You're trying to find out who finishes second, who finishes third, and create value specifically around your favorite here in Torpedo Anna if you don't think you can beat her. So I'm going to start out with, I don't think you can beat Torpedo Anna in this spot. And especially if I'm getting 3 to 5, which I don't think she goes off at. I think 3 to 5 is more than fair with her in this race. Are you going to try and beat Torpedo Anna, or are you going to try and build around Torpedo Anna?
Yeah, way to build up the mystery there. Just giving away the pick right off the bat there. I don't know what you're doing. No, listen, Torpedo Anna's not losing this race. I'm with you on that. But guess what? Even if she wins this race, it doesn't mean she's winning the Breeders' Cup Classic. So my thoughts from last week will stand. Okay. But look, here's the deal. She is not a horse that you're going to enter if you're not sure, right? Like if you enter a horse like Torpedo Anna, the reigning horse of the year that's done so much for those connections, you're pretty darn sure she's fit, she's ready, and whatever happened last time out is not going to happen again, because the last thing you want to do is get into a pattern where this horse isn't running very well. So if you come into this race and you say, I think Torpedo Anna will run her B race or better, then she is a single. They cannot beat her in the spot. The other horses' races aren't very good. So I'm with you. You got to single her in the multi-races. I'm going to play her on top of the number 1 Royal Spa for a straight exacta and just go 3-1 and go straight there for that. This is a horse that gets Flavien Prat here. I love that. You know, obviously Flavien Prat in these big races, you want to have him. It was 1-2 races in a row. Kind of an average horse, Royal Spa there for a while. And then 2 races back, won a race at Laurel Park, whatever. But then won the local prep race for this and did it pretty impressively last time out in the Shawnee. And to me, Mike, she just kind of feels like a horse that's kind of going to be towards the front, going to get passed probably by Torpedo Anna, or maybe never gets past her and just kind of follows her in second all the way around. But I just think her trip projects to be pretty good to be able to get second here. And I think Flavien Prat's smart. He's not going to ride her all out to try to, burn Torpedo Anna. He's just going to kind of follow her around and that be that. So Torpedo Anna on top for me, Royal Spa in second.
Yeah, Curtis Manlow chiming in here. I'm going to fade Torpedo Anna, live by the sword, die by the sword. Honestly, that is how you build the biggest possible tickets, right? Is you try and you single in this race. That's not Torpedo Anna. You try and find a way around it. Curtis continuing to chime in. On third graph, Jin is right there. Jinjin's one of the horses that I looked at. I think it's the 1, 3, and the 4. I think those are your 3 possible winners. No shock. I'm throwing out the 2. Save time is 20-1 here. I don't like Taxed at all. 9-2 on that horse. So for me, it is one of the 3 favorites. I just trust Torpedo Anna the most. I'm not going to tell you what my bet is from this race because, Aaron, it's coming up in the best bet segment. So you got to stick around if you want to see what I'm going to end up betting here in the Fleur de Lis. This is the 7th race on Saturday over at Churchill. Moving forward to the feature of the weekend, the Stephen F. Foster. Is it Stephen Foster or Stephen F. Foster? I always thought it was Stephen F. Foster, but it looks like it's just the Stephen Foster. So there you go. Learn something new every day. Stephen Foster going to 1 1/8 over the Churchill Downs Dirt Course, grade 1, 4-year-olds and up here. And I guess we have to start by saying it's the return of Mystic Dan, who won the Blame Stakes. We talked about this race last time. The luckiest race win I have seen since the Kentucky Derby when Mystic Dan won the Kentucky Derby. But hey, here we are. This is a loaded field. Like, with all joking aside, this is a grade 1 caliber field, right? You've got First Mission, who is looking to get that first grade 1 win, but has an awesome race last time out in the Oakland Handicap, a grade 2 win, beating Skippy Longstocking, who's your 3 here, who has won grade 1s. You've got Mindframe, who's coming off of a grade 1 win in the Churchdown Mile. You've got Sierra Leone, who won the Breeders' Cup Classic last year. Mystic Dan, last year's Derby winner. Hit Show, coming from overseas, who just won a $12 million race. And then you have Ashcroft. So 6 of the 7 here seem like they were pretty legitimate contenders in this spot. Where did you end up on top here? And what are your thoughts on Mystic Dan?
That's the second time you made me laugh out loud. And the first time was in the opening. You're like, the luckiest horse in the world, Mystic Dan's back. And that took me off guard. I wasn't ready for it then. So that was a good job by you. I'm going to fade Mystic Dan. I'll just say that again. And I'm sure he'll burn me again. The one thing you do kind of worry about, he is pretty darn good here at Churchill Downs. So maybe it's a track. But again, I'm not going to believe that because I don't think the seas are going to part for him for a third time like it did in the Kentucky Derby or last time out when we talked about this horse. And he was able to get his first win since the Kentucky Derby. That being said, I'm going to pick a horse that doesn't really win a whole lot anyway, but he does. When he does win, it's usually a big race, and that's the number 4 Sierra Leone. I'm going to put him on top in this spot. Look, I just sit here and think there's just no way he's going to run as poorly as he did last time out in the New Orleans. Just a horrible race. When you look at the workout and you look at the progression of the workouts leading up to this one, it feels like he's ready to run his best race. Now, is his best race good enough? Is the pace going to be there for him to run in? All kinds of things you got to kind of worry about when you talk about Sierra Leone. But look, I think he's getting ready to run his best. And I think that's good. That's the horse for me because of that. I also like the long stretch for him at Churchill Downs. I think that will help him. Now, you may say, hey, Fairgrounds had a long stretch as well, and he didn't run well there. He didn't run a step in that race, period. He wasn't going to win on any racetrack, but I think if he fires his best, he's got the long stretch to run into. I look for him to be a little bit more forward than he was in his last race, kind of what they did at the Breeders' Cup Classic when they won. So give me Sierra Leone. I think his best is a little bit better than this group, and I just have to think he is going to get back to his best race today.
Terrible pick. I don't like Sierra Leone even a little bit here. I think Sierra Leone ends up running into the try, but we're running at a mile and an eighth today. And I realize Sierra Leone does have good efforts at a mile and eighth. His best races are at a mile and a quarter. That's where he has been the most impressive. I'm surprised we're back at a mile and eighth, but it feels like we are just prepping up toward the Whitney here. And we want to get 2 races into him before the Whitney. That's why we're here. Yeah, the effort was too bad to believe. I faded him that day. I unfortunately had Hall of Fame and Touch Upon a Star, able to go gate to wire in that spot. That was wildly frustrating. No worst feeling when you fade a horse that's like 2 to 5 and you pick the wrong horse. Especially at the price. Like, look, it's either going to be Mystic Dan or Sierra Leone that's the favorite in this race. I don't like either of them at the price. Give me the number 2, Mind Frame. I will once again go with the horse that is a head case, but has a boatload of talent, and we've seen it time and time again, able to finally straighten out in the lane last time, winning the Grade 1 Churchill Downs at 7 furlongs. I don't think he was fully cranked for that race, and he beat a horse named Nisos. Nisos pretty darn good. He was in the Breeders' Cup draft last week, and we'll talk about Nisos a little bit later because another one of my best bets faced Nisos last time out. It's speedball of a horse. I thought it was very impressive that Mindframe able to get the job done coming from off the pace that day. Now you get second off a layoff, second in the 4-year-old season, stretching out to 2 turns, all things that should be positive here for Mindframe, who's sitting at 7-2. And I think this is the most talented horse, which is kind of crazy to say because we have a Kentucky Derby and Breeders' Cup Classic winners in here. I think Mindframe may have the most talent. If he puts all together at 4, I think he is very dangerous moving forward, going around 2 turns. And I think this mile and an eighth distance fits him a lot better than it fits Sierra Leone, who is going to be, or Mystic Dan, your favorite in this spot. Any love for First Mission or Hit Show here? 2 horses that I know you've picked in the past that are, facing probably one of the better fields that they faced in their careers today.
Yeah, I want to echo the mind frame thing real quick because this horse would be undefeated if he could run straight. He had those 2 races, the Belmont and the Haskell won, and he drifted badly to the right and couldn't finish them. So I'm with you. Mind frame second for me. All right, First Mission and Hit Show. I'll start with his show. I'm gonna kind of dismiss him in this spot. Yes, I know he won the Dubai World Cup last time out, but really, I don't know how he did it, to be completely honest. That was such a weird race. If you go back to watch it, a shocking result of that race. Usually when he faces the tougher horses, that's when he falters. Now, I picked him a lot when he faces kind of those weaker competition, the weaker fields, and he's done fine. But I'm going to fade him here. I'm not quite sure he's up for it. The number 1 First Mission has been wildly frustrating after being wildly reliable to start his career. I don't know when this horse is going to run well anymore. I used to get this horse spot on, and now I am always on the wrong side of him. How much I kind of like him today. Is that bad? What do you think? I kind of think First Mission has a shot here in this spot. What do you think?
5 grade 2s and grade 3s in those races, 3 wins, 1 second, 1 third. 3 grade 1s. 4th, 7th, and 9th. I think today's the day he turns around. I agree with you. I think First Mission is better than he was last year. I think we saw First Mission take 2 nice steps forward. By the way, First Mission, odds-on favorite in this race last year. Ended up running 4th in it when Kings Barnes decided to show up randomly. I think First Mission runs well. I like the 1-2 exacta. I think it's 2-1. box them up, call them home. Just play cold 2-1. So I'm going to go with Mind Frame on top, but I'm going to go First Mission second. You said you're Sierra Leone on top. Do you like First Mission? Who's you putting in second in this spot?
Yeah, we're pretty similar, minus the Sierra Leone hate from you. I have Mind Frame second, First Mission third. So I went 4-2-1 in this spot. I think I can't trust Mind Frame still, and that's my problem. I'm with you. It's like when I watch his races before all the drifting starts, it's like this is the best horse in the race, but I'm just worried. And he's done it the worst going longer than one turn, and that has me worried as well. But I'm with you. I'm 4-2-1. This is such a good race. These horses are all really good, but they all have their issues where you can't fully trust them, and that's what makes it kind of frustrating a little bit, but also fun a little bit to see what happens.
Yeah, no, you can't really call it a Boulevard of Broken Dreams race because all of these horses have done something very special, but at the same time, a high level of goofball in this race, right? Where you're like, hey guys, can we just show up every time? Can we run straight? What's going on here? So we'll call this a high goofball race here. Give me the number 2 Mind Frame, 7-2. Mystic Dan Sierra Leone for Aaron there, 5-2 on the morning line. You would have got mad at me if I made you stick with Mystic Dan there as the top pick. If you're looking to get involved in these races, make sure you check out the G-Bank Trifecta, introducing the $500 Trifecta from G-Bank, First Bet, and VSiN. All you need to do is open a G-Bank Visa signature card in your first 90 days, deposit and play through $1,000 at First Bet to trigger the Trifecta. You'll receive $200 in cash back rewards on your G-Bank Visa signature credit card. First Bet will give you a $100 deposit bonus there, and VSiN will complete the trifecta with a free VSiN Pro subscription through August 21st, 2026, a $200 value. That's $500 trifecta from GBank, First Bet, and VSiN. Head over to vsin.com/GBank. That's VSIN.com/GBank. This is a one-time promotion limited to customers opening a new account in response to this offer and will not apply to requests to convert existing accounts. Apply today. Make sure you read the terms and conditions. Aaron, that moves us on here to the segment everyone's been waiting for, the best bets. Who do we like this weekend and where are we going? As always, I will let you take the first cue here. Who do you like here as your best bets for the weekend?
All right. Well, I'm going to go with one that I think we both like. I want to get your thoughts on this one for sure once I'm done. I'm going to go to Saturday at Churchill Downs, race 8, the number 5, Lush Lips. That'll be the first one. Now, here's why I say I know we both like him. The last time this horse was entered, we both had her singled in the last race of a pick 5, and she scratched. So that sucked. But she's back, and I think she's in another race where she looks very, very tough in this spot. So Churchill Downs, race 8, the number 5, Lush Lips. This is a horse that's been running behind Nitrogen, a horse I mentioned earlier on the show that is just a beast, right? So look out for this one. I like this one quite a bit. All right. Gulfstream Park, race 6. I like the number 2, Julie's Legacy. This horse has woke up in a big way. 2 straight victories last time out, won at this exact same level very impressively. So I really like the number 2, Julie's Legacy in this spot. Now, I will say we may have a situation where the odds become a little too low to play a win. Don't worry if that is the case. If her odds become a little too low, if they go under even money, pair her up in a daily double. So go race 6, use the 2, Julie's Legacy. And then in race 7 at Gulfstream Park, I'm against the favorite. The favorite is the number 8. I would play a straight daily double with the number 4, Love Actually. This horse nearly got the job done last time out at the same level, and that was on the synthetic. Moves back to the turf today. I think the turf's going to be okay. They've had a couple of races over it. Last time out wasn't great, but the first time she tried it, it wasn't bad at all. So if Julie's Legacy gets a little too short, play a straight double 2 into the 4 in race number 7 there at Gulfstream Park.
So Lush Lips, I'm glad you picked this horse. Not surprised at all. When I saw that she was going to run, I knew that this was going to be one of your best bets. I agree with you. I think that she is the horse to beat in this race. I also think 9-5 isn't a complete pipe dream because Vixen is in this race, the 6 horse who is 2-1. I do like Lush Lips, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention the number 2, Something Stronger. Second off the layoff for this horse who's stretching back out to 2 turns for the first time. $450,000 daughter of Justify with Frankel as her grandfather on the bottom. This horse wants 2 turns, but 1 sprinting last time. I like the 5/2 exacta and the 2-5. Maybe box it up for a little bit just in case the 2 able to win at 10-1 there. Did you like the 2 at all? Something Stronger here.
I thought the horse could hit the board. I think if you want to play underneath an exactor or try, I think that horse makes a ton of sense. I am with you. I think Vixen is the likely kind of horse to win or to beat Lush Lips, I should say. But, you can't play both favorites, so that's why I did kind of look. And, yeah, the two made sense. If you want to play underneath, I think that's a really good horse. And I think the horse will come running. I just think Lush Lips is better. And I'm not overly afraid because I just have been waiting for Lush Lips to come back. Hopefully she runs this time, and hopefully we cash.
Yeah, Lush Lips should be a fun one to watch. I think she's one of, if not the best, well, Nitrogen probably the best horse in the division, but Lush Lips, I think clearly your second best horse right now in that 3-year-old filly division. Best bets for me, both coming from Churchill Downs here on Saturday. We'll start with race number 7, one we already talked about here. I am playing a cold trifecta. I think Torpedo Anna wins. I think the 1 runs second. I think Jin Jin runs third. I think this is one of those races where you've got to try and play one of the, if you're going to bet the race and you're trying to put Torpedo Ann on top, you got to find a way to create value around it. If we can run the 3-1-4 in exact order, probably getting 4-1, 5-1, somewhere in that range. I think that is a good way to attack this, especially since I don't like the 2 or the 5 at all. If you want a little less risk on 3/1, 4/1, although it's going to chop your profit in half. So I went with 3-1-4 cold there in the Fleur de Lis. I think we are actually simpatico on that, Aaron, with the 3-1-4 finishing in the top 3.
Yep, we are. That's exactly how I have it as well. So, yeah, I guess you just add that one to mine as well, Samich.
All right, Saturday, race number 9 from Churchill. I'm pretty excited to see this horse run. Dr. Venkman has decided to try and run away from Nisos, and I don't blame him at all. Nisos absolutely dominant last time out when taking on Dr. Venkman. This is a horse that just tried to run with Nisos early, and I thought ran really well, especially first time off the layoff, first time running in almost 9 months. This was one of the better sprinters out in California. Dr. Venkman then stretched out and decided to go 2 turns, won the San Diego, ran 4th in the Pacific Classic. I like the fact that we're staying sprinting here. I think Dr. Venkman has a chance to be one of the better male sprinters, especially if Nisos decides that the Breeders' Cup Classic is in his future versus trying to stay in the sprinting division. We do see Nisos stretching out next time, so that leads you to believe that the sprint division more open right now. And Dr. Venkman, I think, is a horse that can fit there. Has tactical speed early, has been able to close and win late, can run at 6, can run at 6.5, can run at 7. I think the 6.5 distance, absolutely perfect for him. Like I said, second off the layoff. And Mark Glatt deciding to ship to Churchill, I think means that this horse is doing very well here. I expect Dr. Venkman to be able to win the Kelly's Landing here as a grade 3 race. And again, Glatt off this type of layoff, second off, 39% win percentage. I mean, just absolutely flourishes second off long layoffs like this. That's exactly what we're getting here. And I think we get the price because of Booth, who is going to be your favorite in this spot, the number 3 horse for Steve Asmussen. Eric Asmussen rides. This horse has won 4 straight races going gate to wire, all at 6 furlongs. I like the fact we're going 6.5. I think that is advantage, Dr. Venkman today. Let's go Ghostbusters here with the number 1, Dr. Venkman, 5-2, Churchill Downs, race number 9 on Saturday.
I love that pick. I really think with Booth, this is a horse I've followed closely for a long time, and I've bet him a lot. But I think he's been beating weaker, and I think a horse like Dr. Venkman is one that I don't think he's really been able to beat yet. And I think this is where you get him. And I'm with you. I think 6.5 furlongs instead of 6 makes a big difference. If Venkman runs his best race, I think he beats Booth. And like you said, there are signs there to think Dr. Venkman's going to run huge here. So I'm with you. I think it's a great bet, and I'm with you. I think 5-2 is going to happen.
Yeah, the price here obviously important. If we get to if this ends up being your favorite at 6-5, 7-5, I'll pass. But I do think Booth takes the majority of the money, and that's why I do like Dr. Venkman here at 5-2. That'll do it for us here. VSiN at the Track on Thursdays. Make sure you check us out next Thursday here at VSiN Live over on the YouTube channel. And make sure you check out the podcast, VSiN at the Track. Have its own feed. You can download it hopefully this weekend, but we'll keep you updated on that over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Aaron, thank you for joining today. We'll be back at it next week with a just absolutely loaded weekend of races as well. Cannot wait to talk about that. Good luck with all of your bets this weekend. Take care.